All right, this video is going to be on the CV axle boots on the 1161 Growler. My front ones aren't so bad. They aren't cracked and they aren't ripped or leaking at all yet. My rear ones, when I got it, they were cracking along here, and with just a very little use I've done to it, just in my diagnosing stuff and fixing a few things, they tore and were spitting grease all over the place. So I measured the outside here on the CV joint and the shaft here where the boot goes, and kind of figured out which CV boot I needed. I went ahead and ordered them. I went online, searched, kind of found out which ones had the right dimensions, and then I found them on Napa, or that Napa had them, so I ordered them in. They were about 21 bucks a piece. I got them here yesterday. I took the CV joint out, or the CV axle out, cut the boots off, and the numbers right here, you can kind of see them under the band there, were the exact same numbers that were on the old boots. So I actually, just by chance, got the exact same boots. So I put these on to make sure everything went good, and they did. They went great in putting them in. I didn't change all the grease in mine because the grease was still really good. Now, if your axles have been torn and you've been out off-roading, or you've gotten water in them, you've gotten a lot of dirt and junk in them, it's a really good idea to clean everything, clean them out completely, get all the old grease out and repack them. Mine were just cracked when I got it. They just tore. They haven't even been off-road. They haven't been past my driveway. So the grease inside was still good. It didn't have any grit in it. It was really good. So some of the grease I threw out, just, kind of had to, just out of convenience for kind of cleaning things up to be able to work on it. But I didn't by any means clean all the grease out. So keep that in mind if you're doing yours. Just play it, it just depends on how you've used yours. If the boots were torn and you've used it, you've been off road, you got dirt and dust in there, water in there, you want to clean them out really good. If you, in a case like mine, it doesn't really matter. I think it has 200 miles on it. So I doubt that the grease is wore out with 231 miles on it. Okay, so now getting to the other side. It's not too hard. To begin with, what we had to do is, pull a tire. The operator manual said the tire weighs 100 pounds. I don't believe him. It doesn't seem that heavy, but anyways, to get it off, we just pull the cover off here, the cover off the air inflator, swivel unit. Loosen this slowly, just let the air out slow, and then take it off, and then we'll pull the wheel, and then we'll go from there. All right, next off, what we want to do, pull this caliper off. This beautiful Willwood caliper. There's just two bolts here to pull it off. I have to pull those out with the impact. And then you come around this side and you have to undo the air line right here. And they're clamped together. So I just take the air line, swing it over, and just hang the caliper here. You want to be careful. You don't want to put a ton of weight on that brake line for a long time. If you can avoid it, hang it with a piece of wire or whatever. The line's really tough, but it's tied to this. I just kind of hung it on the other side. The caliper is aluminum. It doesn't weigh very much at all. So we'll pull those off, and then we'll be able to slide the rotor off. So you need an 11/16 wrench for this air line. It's just a JIC connector on there, so it's simple. There's no seals in there. You just need one wrench. It's not a big deal. You need a 5/8 wobble socket for the caliper. Nice. It wasn't even tight. I don't know what to think about these things. I swear that was probably 5 foot-pounds. Yeah, this caliper, it literally weighs like, it doesn't even weigh a pound, maybe a pound. So to hang it by the hose is not a big deal. It's a steel hose, steel braided hose anyways. If you have a real heavy caliper, yeah, you don't want to do that because you don't want to ruin the hose, but I'm not worried about it on mine. You can do what you want, what you feel is safe. The rotor just slides off. All right. I'm going to pull the nut off here for the CV joint. That takes, I think, 1 3/8. Yeah, 1 3/8. I'm checking the thread, make sure there's no right hand, left hand thread changes here. That's right hand thread, so don't worry about it. And when I was doing the other side, this top ball joint, after I took the cotter pin out, that ball joint was finger tight. It wasn't even tight. So that's not good. So you pull that nut off. Put the camera here. And then there's a big washer in here. I can barely get my fingers in there to grip it. I can hold the camera and do this at the same time. Come on. And then there's also an O-ring in there because, I don't know if you can see if the camera's picking up, but there's an O-ring in there because you have air going through this CV joint for the air inflation for the tires. It comes out here, the shaft on the CV joint. So this is the only thing I'm thinking of on this CV joint if somebody has to replace it. I don't know if it'd be hard to find or not. Maybe a Hummer uses the same one. I don't know. Look at that, that's nice and loose too. I love that. I hate when you have to beat on them to get them out. Okay, so after that I'll pull the cotter pin out of the steering tie rod and then out of both of the ball joints. That might work there. So I don't know if somebody was in here working on this thing or when they built these, if that's just how sloppy they were building them. I don't know, but it's making me really glad I'm going through everything on this growler to make sure that things are put together right, because I have found so many loose parts on this thing. It's not even funny. It's actually, honestly, it's scary. So first thing I want to try, see it has a castle nut on there, so you don't want to just beat on the castle nut that way. I turn the castle nut around, run it till it's just touching the bottom of the thread on there, and smack it with a hammer and see if it'll pop it out. If not, then I'll use a pickle fork. I just don't like using a pickle fork because I always seem to rip the boot when you do it. There. If you do it that way, you don't mess up the threads and you don't mess up the nut. Yeah, that one popped out. Nice and easy. So what's going to happen is, have everything off out of the way. I just get this top nut off. It feels like it's what's holding us here. When I put the other side back together, I had to use my transmission jack to push up on the lower A arm to get this up into place. Okay, so then it's kind of a, yeah, let's get some right there with it. So the screwdriver. Oh, I should have pulled that grease dirt off. I decided to pull that grease dirt out first. It made more room for me. The one on the bottom ball joint, it's kind of in the way a little bit. But if I can get this CV joint out, there we go. I can drop the hub right off of there. You'll see inside of here, there's a lip seal in here, and that's for the, it keeps the dirt and all the garbage out of the bearings, for one thing, but it's also because of the, I believe because of the air system, because the air goes in here and it transfers through here. There's a hole right here, and the air transfers through to come out of the CV joint to the tire. And then here's that O-ring that goes in there. So you want to be careful not to lose that O-ring or damage it. And you want to make sure you put it back. And then for the CV joints, where they go into the differential, these ones just have a lock ring. So they just pop out. So what I'm going to do, sometimes, you know, I'd use like a bar between here, you know, to pop it. But on these ones, since the way these U-joints are made, they won't come apart on you. They won't fall apart if you pull on them. So I'm just going to use the joint itself as a slide hammer. And there she goes. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this razor blade's getting dull beyond blade. Yeah, there's the number on the existing one, and this same number is on the rubber boot on the new one, 86464, and then C is in Charlie. So somehow I ended up with the exact same boot, which is cool. So anyways, this side of the joint I'm just going to leave in. Since there's no contamination, there's no damage, it just needs a new boot. I can leave this totally intact. This side here, the side that goes to the differential, it's got a snap ring in here, and you got to pop it out. I don't know, it's real easy to pop out of the other side. There we go. So you just get a, like a small pick, pop this snap ring out, and wipe this down. So that's one reason it's really important to catch these on early. If you get a CV boot that's ripping, you don't want to run until the grease is out, and then that damages the internals of it. Also, if you get contamination in it because of that, then you're going to take this thing completely down, clean everything up, and 100% clean it, put it back together. In my case, it's all clean in here. The grease looks great. There's no grime in it. There's no water in it. So I just slid that off of there. I can just leave that grease in there because there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, then you just pull this apart, get all the balls out of there. These ball bearings. Scrape some of this grease out of the way. I just hate dealing with grease like that. Okay, then that's going to slide in there like that. Slide off. If you do take these apart, make sure you put them back on, you mark them somehow or lay them out so you put them the same way, because they are directional how they go in there. So just wipe all this goo off of here. Can't have enough rags to do, or too many rags to do this, So there's a snap ring on the end of the shaft here. So if we pull that snap ring off, then I'm gonna have to put this. I could use a press to press it off, which would probably be the cleanest way to do it, but I'm not. I'm just gonna use a hammer just so I could show how it's done. I don't want to reset all the cameras over at the press. Plus, a lot of people doing this might not have a press to use it, so let's just see how difficult it is to get that off of there, so you don't think you're destroying it when you go to take yours apart. Alright, there's the snap ring for that. And I'm using a brass hammer so I can beat on the end here, because you do not want to mess up the spline on there. Otherwise you can have a real fun time going back together with it. That. Put my body up against it to hold it in place. It's almost out. we go. I'm going to keep the star, lay the star down so I know which way it came off, so that I don't get it on backwards. So this might be directional. I'm not positive on this one. Actually, it is, because the snap ring, there's a good spot there for the snap ring. So I'll leave it laying like that. Pull this off, lay it the same way, so I know which way it came off the shaft. You almost need 3 hands to do these, you know? I felt like that popped out of there for a second. I think it's, yeah, it's okay. Get my crimp on there, and there it is. So let's get that side done. Then going to the other side. Mess up a little bit. There we go. That went in good. Okay. Wipe off any little brass chips from my hair. And then, we come back up to this. We slide this up into place. And this is when we need to get the balls back out of this kind of like gooey mess I just put in this box. Jiggle it around, hold the balls in there. It's always good to jiggle the balls a little bit. Make sure they get in there correctly. Get some more grease. And you want to take this, you want to watch all the balls. There, they all slid in there real nice. Move this over, then I'm going to get all this grease off my hands. Retainer ring. Over the shaft, and there's just a groove in here at the edge that this ring pops into. There we go. That's on. Now I'll make sure I get all the excess grease out of this groove here. And there she is. Alright, so I just want to make sure the seal doesn't have any dirt or anything on it or any nicks. Looks good and clean. Make sure the seal area, bearing area here is good. Make sure this circlip is on here, because this clip is what holds it into the differential. Without that clip on there, it'll just pop out and your differential will leak. You'll lose all your 90 weight. So just insert it in there. There it goes. Just snap it in. Check a little bit, make sure it's in. Doesn't slide back out. I've got the castle nuts on both ball joints. I double check, you know, they're tight. Got the cotter pins in, I'm double checking them. I've got the nut on the tie rod, cotter pins in. I tighten the nut for the axle. I don't know what the torque spec is on it, so just, you know, years of experience of working on stuff, I just tighten it down where I feel like it should be. Now I just need to put the rotor back on. I can put the caliper on, hook the air line up for the tire inflation, and I can put my tire back on, or my wheel back on, and get this all buttoned up. It's a simple job, as long as you have the tools to do it. You know, I'm a heavy equipment mechanic, and I've got just tons of tools. You know, I've got everything for just about anything I need to do. So for me, it's simple, but it's not that hard. And if you aren't able to do it, you don't have the tooling to do it or the ability, at least, you know, you have the part number now for the boots. And if you take it to a shop somewhere, any front end shop or any decent mechanic should be able to do this. You know, it's an hour job per axle, so shouldn't cost you a ton depending on where you go or whatever. So anyways, that's it. It's the finished product. I'm good to go now. Now I just need to finish putting the wiring away for my new transmission computer, and I'm good to drive this thing. So anyways, appreciate you watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button. That helps. If you hit the like button, at least I know you guys like what I'm putting out there. Subscribe. I'm going to be putting out a lot of videos on this growler. As soon as I get this thing buttoned up, hopefully it's going to be really soon here. I'm going to get it out to the desert, and we'll get some good videos on that, see what this thing does out there in the dirt. And I also have videos on my heavy equipment stuff, like rebuilding this radiator. I had to take this whole radiator apart, to clean it all out. I got to reseal the tanks on the top. I had to clean all the cores, and I'll get this all back together. So I'm doing stuff like that as well. So, and if you hit the notification bell, then you'll get notified whenever I have a new video come out, and that way you won't miss anything. So anyways, thanks for watching.